Something fascinating is happening right now. Women who've spent their entire lives getting attention without effort are encountering men who just don't care. Men who don't respond to hints. Men who don't chase. Men who don't prioritize female approval. And the panic is real. Women are posting frantically about emotionally unavailable men, but what they're really describing is men who've opted out of the validation game. Let me explain why this shift is causing massive anxiety, and what it really means when men stop taking women seriously. Here's a simple test that shows the panic. Watch what happens when an attractive woman encounters a man who doesn't notice her. Not rudely ignores, just genuinely doesn't register her presence as special. She'll escalate. Stand closer, laugh louder, find reasons to interact. When that fails, confusion turns to frustration, turns to anger. What's wrong with him? Nothing's wrong. He just doesn't care, and that breaks their entire worldview. The loss of influence triggers immediate anxiety because many women have never experienced true indifference. From childhood, they've received attention for existing. Smiles got them treats, tears got them comfort, beauty got them privileges. Then suddenly they meet men who don't respond to any of it. The tools that always worked are useless, and they don't have backup tools. I watched this happen at a business conference. Attractive woman, used to being the center of attention, tried engaging with a successful entrepreneur. He politely answered her questions, then returned to his work. She tried 3 more times, touching his arm, asking personal questions, mentioning she was single. He remained professionally courteous but uninterested. Later, she was literally asking people what was wrong with him. The idea that he simply wasn't interested was incomprehensible. This challenge to entitlement is causing widespread panic. Many women genuinely believe male attention is a given, not a gift. When they encounter men who don't automatically prioritize them, their entire framework collapses. It's like someone who's always had trust fund money suddenly having to interview for jobs. The entitlement was so deep, they didn't even know it was entitlement. The frustration with unresponsive partners is reaching critical mass. Women are calling men broken for not performing traditional romantic roles while simultaneously claiming they don't need those roles. They want men who chase but don't want to admit they want to be chased. They want providers but don't want to admit they want to be provided for. When men say, okay, then we won't chase or provide, panic ensues. A client told me his girlfriend had a breakdown because he stopped planning elaborate dates. Not because he was mean or distant, he just matched her energy. She put in minimal effort, so he did too. She'd been coasting on his investment while contributing nothing. When he stopped overcompensating, she called him emotionally distant. He wasn't distant, he was reciprocal. The fear of diminished social and romantic power is very real. Women are realizing that male attention, which they've used as social currency their entire lives, is becoming scarce. Not because there are fewer men, but because men are becoming selective. The power dynamic is shifting, and those who relied on automatic male interest are panicking. The reaction to disrupted validation mechanisms is particularly interesting. Social media was supposed to be an endless validation fountain. Post a selfie, get hundreds of likes. But men are checking out of social media, or worse, scrolling past without engaging. The validation machine is breaking down, and women who've become addicted to it are experiencing withdrawal. I know a woman who posted increasingly revealing photos trying to get her ex's attention. He never liked or viewed them. She went from subtle thirst traps to basically nude photos. Nothing. Finally, she directly messaged him asking if he'd seen her posts. He replied, "I don't follow you anymore." The panic in her response was palpable. Her primary tool for regaining his attention was useless. The perceived loss of leverage in relationships is causing strategic panic. Women who've always controlled relationships through sex, emotions, or manipulation are meeting men who won't be controlled. These men have options, standards, and most importantly, self-respect. The usual playbook, withhold sex, create drama, threaten to leave, doesn't work when men are willing to walk away. The exposure of personal insecurities when manipulation fails is brutal. When crying doesn't work, threatening doesn't work, and sex doesn't work, what's left? The actual person. And many women are discovering they never developed a personality beyond manipulation tactics. They're forced to confront that they bring little to relationships beyond their appearance and emotional games. A therapist colleague shared, with permission, about a female patient panicking because her boyfriend wouldn't jealously react to her flirting with other men. She'd escalate, dancing with guys at bars, getting numbers, talking about other men. He'd just say cool, have fun. She literally didn't know how to function in a relationship without jealousy games. The adaptation struggles to new social dynamics are evident everywhere. Women who grew up with guaranteed male attention are having to learn how to actually attract men. Not just exist near them, actually attract them through personality, value, and genuine connection. It's like someone who's always had a driver suddenly having to learn to drive at 30. The basics everyone else learned naturally are foreign concepts. The challenge to cultural and social conditioning is creating cognitive dissonance. Women were told they're the prize, that men should be grateful for any attention. But increasingly, men are acting like they're the prize. And honestly, many of them are. A stable, successful man with options isn't going to chase someone whose only contribution is their presence. The need to reassess strategy and approach is causing analysis paralysis. Women are simultaneously trying to maintain strong, independent personas while panicking about men not pursuing them. They want to be chased but don't want to seem chaseable. They want traditional courtship but claim to hate traditional roles. The contradictions are causing system failure. I've noticed 3 types of panic responses. Type 1, double down on manipulation, become more dramatic, create more chaos. Type 2, retreat into men are trash ideology to avoid confronting their own inadequacy. Type 3, actually develop themselves as people. Guess which response is most common and which is most effective? The social media meltdowns about this are telling. Where have all the real men gone? Translation: where are the men who'll chase me despite my offering nothing? Men are so emotionally unavailable. Translation: men won't respond to my emotional manipulation. Modern dating is impossible. Translation: I can't coast on my looks anymore. The biological clock panic amplifies everything. Women in their 30s who spent their 20s rejecting good men for bad boys are realizing the good men have options now. The stable, relationship-oriented guys they ignored are dating younger women or have sworn off relationships entirely. The panic isn't about loneliness, it's about consequences. A woman I know spent her 20s dating musicians and bartenders, rejecting every stable guy as boring. Now at 34, she's frantically trying to lock down a provider. But the providers her age are either taken or dating 26-year-olds. Her panic posts about men who can't handle successful women are really about successful men who won't tolerate her baggage. The entitlement recalibration is brutal to watch. Women who've never had to develop personality, skills, or value beyond their sexuality are discovering that sexuality depreciates. Meanwhile, men's value often appreciates. More resources, experience, confidence. The same men they rejected at 25 are out of their league at 35. The strategic panic manifests in increasingly desperate behaviours. Suddenly wanting to settle down after years of finding themselves. Suddenly valuing nice guys after years of chasing bad boys. Suddenly wanting traditional relationships after years of feminist independence. But men see the pattern. They recognise they're not first choice, they're last resort. The validation addiction withdrawal is real. Women who've built their entire self-worth on male attention are experiencing identity crisis when that attention disappears. Without likes, matches and DMs, who are they? Without men pursuing them, what's their value? These questions they should have answered at 20 are hitting at 30 or 40. The bargaining phase is particularly sad. I'll cook and clean. But you said that was oppression. I'll be supportive. But you said emotional labour should be paid. I'll be feminine. But you said gender roles were outdated. Men are confused. Which version is real? The answer often is neither. It's all performance based on desperation. The competition panic when they realise other women aren't playing by feminist rules is intense. While they're demanding men accept them at their worst, other women are actually being pleasant, supportive and feminine. While they're saying men should pay for dates despite equality, other women are offering to split or pay. The collaborative feminism breaks down when resources become scarce. A friend showed me his dating app matches. One woman's profile, demands, requirements, don't waste my time. Another's interests, hobbies, what she offers in relationships. Guess which one he matched with? The panic from entitled women when they realise positive women exist and are winning is delicious karma. The realisation that male indifference is increasing, not decreasing, creates existential panic. Men aren't becoming more desperate as women predicted. They're becoming more selective. Video games, hobbies, and friend groups are increasingly preferred over dramatic relationships. The men need us more than we need them narrative is crumbling. The wall of male indifference is impenetrable because it's not active rejection, it's genuine disinterest. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't care. You can't negotiate with absence. You can't drama your way into attention from someone who's not paying attention. This passive resistance is more effective than any protest. The generational divide is stark. Older women who lock down providers early are fine. Younger women who are still attractive have options. But that middle group, late 20s to late 30s, who bought into have-it-all feminism? They're panicking as they realise all was a lie, and now they might end up with nothing. The response when men explicitly state their standards is pure panic. I want someone who hasn't slept around. Misogyny. I want someone feminine and supportive. Sexism. I want someone younger who wants children. Predator. But these aren't attacks, they're preferences. Men are allowed preferences just like women are. The dating app data is causing widespread panic. Women see that men their age are matching with younger women. They see that their matches decrease dramatically after 30 while men's increase. They see that their demands are mocked while men's preferences are met. The data doesn't lie, and it's showing uncomfortable truths. The provider panic is especially acute. Women who rejected traditional roles suddenly want traditional provision. But traditional men want traditional women. You can't demand a 1950s husband while being a 2024 feminist. Men who can provide have options, and they're choosing women who appreciate, not women who demand. A successful client of mine dates exclusively overseas now. He's tired of entitled Western women who bring demands but no value. He found a feminine, appreciative woman who actually adds to his life rather than complicating it. When local women hear about his gorgeous, sweet girlfriend, the panic and anger is immediate. He couldn't handle a strong woman. No, he chose better. The collaboration collapse between women is hilarious. Feminism told them to support each other, but when male attention becomes scarce, it's every woman for herself. The same women who preach sisterhood will steal each other's men without hesitation. The panic when they realise other women are competition, not allies, is reality hitting hard. The "where are all the good men?" panic fails to acknowledge that good men are everywhere. They're just invisible to women chasing bad boys or holding out for perfect. The good men learn to stop chasing women who don't appreciate them. They're building lives, careers, and happiness without female validation. The nice guy revelation panic is real. Women are realising that the nice guys they rejected didn't disappear. They evolved. They built themselves into high-value men who now have standards. The boring accountant is now a CFO dating models. The nerdy programmer sold his startup. The simple teacher became a principal with a happy family, and none of them are available. The consequences of choice panic is hitting hard. Every decision has outcomes. Choosing career over family, choosing bad boys over good men, choosing feminism over femininity, all valid choices, but all have consequences. The panic isn't about the choices themselves, but about wanting different outcomes than the choices produce. The masculine frame recognition is causing strategic panic. Women are realizing that truly masculine men won't be manipulated, controlled, or changed. These men have boundaries, standards, and self-respect. The usual female tactics don't work, and many women literally don't know how to interact with men they can't control. A woman tried to baby trap a client of mine. Stopped taking birth control without telling him. When she got pregnant, she expected him to immediately propose. Instead, he demanded a paternity test, consulted lawyers, and made clear he'd pay child support but wouldn't be manipulated into marriage. Her panic when her ultimate tool failed was a wake-up call. The selection pressure reversal is causing widespread panic. For most of history, women selected and men competed. Now, successful men select and women compete. The power dynamic has flipped, and women who never learned to compete for male attention are losing to women who did. The social proof collapse happens when women realize other women's opinions don't matter to certain men. These men don't care about Instagram followers, friend approval, or social status. They care about actual value. Can she cook? Is she pleasant? Does she add to or subtract from his peace? The panic when social proof becomes worthless is existential. The fertility window panic amplifies everything. Men can have children at 50. Women face serious challenges after 35. This biological inequality creates time pressure that men simply don't feel. The panic of a 33-year-old woman is fundamentally different from a 33-year-old man's calm, and that difference in urgency affects negotiating power. The backup plan collapse is causing strategic panic. Many women kept nice guys as backup while pursuing exciting guys, but the backups found someone else, improved themselves, or simply stopped waiting. The panic when you reach for your safety net and find it gone is the definition of poor planning meeting reality. The impossibility of having it all is creating existential panic. Career, family, travel, experiences, perfect partner. Someone lied to these women about what's possible. Life requires trade-offs. Men learn this early, women are learning it late. The panic isn't about not having options, it's about having to choose between them. The investment differential panic hits when women realize they spent their youth, their most valuable relationship asset, on men who wouldn't commit. Meanwhile, men spent their youth building value that appreciates. At 35, his stock is rising while hers is falling. The panic isn't jealousy, it's recognition of poor resource allocation. The character reveal that happens when manipulation fails is causing identity panic. When women can't use sex, emotions, or social pressure to control men, they have to rely on actual personality and character. Many are discovering they never developed either. The panic isn't about men not responding, it's about having nothing else to offer. The indifference training men are going through is systematic. Every manipulation, every game, every false accusation teaches men to care less. The very behaviours women use to control men are training men to be indifferent. The panic when women realise they've created the very indifference they fear is poetic justice. The economic reality is causing practical panic. Many women assumed they'd marry someone who'd provide their lifestyle, but marriageable providers are rare and have options. The panic when a 35-year-old woman realises she might have to support herself forever isn't about feminism failing, it's about reality winning. The approaching irrelevance panic hits different. Men gain distinguished, women gain invisible, men become silver foxes, women become cat ladies. This isn't fair, but it's real. The panic when women realise their expiration date is approaching, while men's best years are ahead is biological reality asserting itself. The solution isn't complicated but requires accountability. Develop actual value beyond sexuality. Bring peace instead of drama. Support instead of demand. Appreciate instead of criticize. Be pleasant instead of difficult. But this requires admitting the current strategy isn't working, and that admission is too painful for most. The men who don't take women seriously aren't broken, they're rational. They've calculated the cost-benefit of female attention and found it wanting. They've evaluated the return on investment of relationships and chosen other investments. The panic isn't about these men being wrong, it's about them being right. The generational correction happening is natural. An entitled generation of women is meeting an indifferent generation of men. The unstoppable force is meeting the immovable object. The panic is just the sound of entitlement meeting reality, of expectations meeting indifference, of manipulation meeting immunity. The truth is, men aren't obligated to take anyone seriously. Attention is earned, not owed. Interest is inspired, not demanded. Investment is attracted, not extracted. Women who bring value don't panic about male indifference because they don't experience it. The panic is admission of inadequacy. The future belongs to women who understand this shift and adapt, who develop themselves as people, not just sexual beings, who offer value beyond their anatomy, who bring peace instead of problems. These women aren't panicking because they're too busy being chosen by quality men. The panic will intensify before it subsides. More women will hit the wall of male indifference. More will discover their tools don't work. More will realise they're competing for fewer and fewer interested men. This isn't cruelty, it's correction. The market is adjusting from decades of artificial inflation. The psychological restructuring happening in real time is fascinating. Women who built their entire identity on being desired are having to rebuild from scratch. The ego death is painful but necessary. Some will emerge stronger, developing real personality and value. Others will double down on delusion until reality becomes undeniable. The cultural whiplash is particularly interesting. These women grew up being told they were perfect just as they are, that they deserve the best, that they should never settle. Now reality is telling them they're not perfect. They don't automatically deserve anything, and they might have to settle or be alone. The cognitive dissonance is causing mental health crises across entire demographics. The realization that men have been pretending to care is perhaps the most shocking. Many men went through the motions of pursuit not because they were genuinely interested, but because they thought they had to. Now that they've realized they don't have to play the game, women are discovering that much of the attention they received was performative compliance, not genuine desire. The attempts to shame men back into compliance are increasingly desperate. Real men chase. Real men provide. Real men don't care about body count. But men are realizing that these aren't definitions of real men. They're attempts to manipulate men into serving female imperatives. The shaming isn't working because men have developed immunity through overexposure. The parallel economy of male attention that's developing is revolutionary. Men are investing their attention in gaming, hobbies, brotherhood, and self-improvement. They're finding fulfillment outside of female validation. This parallel economy is draining resources from the traditional attention economy, and women who depend on that economy are panicking. The intergenerational warning system between men is unprecedented. Older men are warning younger men about the traps. Divorced men are sharing their horror stories. Social media is allowing men to compare notes globally. The information asymmetry that allowed female manipulation to work is disappearing, and with it, the effectiveness of traditional female strategies. The men who don't take women seriously aren't villains. They're rational actors in an irrational game. They've opted out of a system that offers them little and costs them much. The panic of women realizing the game only works if men play, and men are walking away from the table, is just beginning. The adjustment period will be brutal. Women who've never had to develop personality will have to become interesting. Women who've never had to compromise will have to negotiate. Women who've never had to pursue will have to chase. The panic isn't about the changes, it's about being unprepared for them. The resolution requires honesty that most won't achieve, admitting that female sexual value depreciates, admitting that male resources appreciate, admitting that the feminist narrative about relationships was wrong, admitting that men have value beyond their utility. This honesty is too threatening to the ego investment many women have made. The panic over men who don't take them seriously is really panic about consequences. Consequences of choices, consequences of attitudes, consequences of behaviours. For the first time, many women are facing actual consequences for their relationship strategies, and they're completely unprepared. The men aren't trying to cause panic, they're just living their lives, working on their purposes, enjoying their hobbies, building their value. The panic is a byproduct of men discovering they don't need female validation to be happy. This discovery is revolutionizing gender dynamics. The message to women is simple. If you're panicking about men not taking you seriously, ask yourself what you're offering that deserves serious attention. If the answer is just your presence, your panic is justified. Men have discovered that female presence without value is a liability, not an asset. The message to men is simpler. Keep building, keep growing, keep maintaining standards. Your indifference isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. Your standards aren't misogyny, they're self-respect. Your disinterest isn't dysfunction, it's discernment. I want to hear from you guys. Have you noticed the panic when you don't respond to female manipulation? Have you experienced the confusion when you maintain indifference? What happens when you simply don't take them seriously? Drop your experiences in the comments. Let's document this shift in real time, because what we're witnessing is a fundamental restructuring of gender dynamics, and the panic is just the beginning.